Business Express. Brought to you by InterSwitch. A transaction solution.
Love music, love life. It's now 33 minutes past 6 o'clock. It's Monday, and you are welcome to the show where we discuss what's happening in the economy or with the economy and give you the updates on what to do so that you can make the best decisions. This is Business Express. My name is Oluwaseun. And this morning, we are going to be talking about the inflation report, the July 2025 inflation report that is out. And while the numbers show some progress, we are going to find out if it's really progressive for the pockets of Nigerians. And that's what we're going to be doing this morning. As always, you can get your 14 on WhatsApp 0911 999 0981. Again, 0911 999 0981. So as we discuss the numbers and their implication, you can always let us know what you think or your agreement and disagreement. And joining us to discuss this is the CFA and founder of the Money Wit Club, Oler Oladele. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheo. Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. So let's get right into it and let's talk about the numbers. Overall, the inflation says, or at least the numbers says that the inflation is slowing, but I don't know if Nigerians are really feeling the relief and if the pockets are telling if something is reducing.
So yes, I think the first thing is to actually explain how inflation works or what that number means. A lot of people think that inflation, when you say inflation is coming down, it means that prices have come down. But no, think of inflation like if you are on Third Mainland and you are driving at 80 kilometers per hour, and then you just step on the pedal and you drive at 200 kilometers per hour, right? So that's inflation. It's the rate of change. So you might say that it has come down from 200 to maybe 150 kilometers per hour, but it doesn't mean that it's still not headed towards Ikeja. So prices will still be going up. So in real times, what you would find is that there was a time when if you go to the market today, something will be 1 naira. The next day you go there to be 1 naira 30 kobo. The next day you go there to be 1 naira 60 kobo, right? And we saw that for a while. But what they are saying is that now when you go to the market, let's say it starts at 1 naira, you might find that 1 naira 10 kobo tomorrow. You might find that 1 naira 20 kobo the next day. It's not jumping as much as it was before. So it's actually true that things are not spiking as much as it was at a point. But the thing is that for us, what we really want and need is for those prices to actually come down, which is not what we are seeing right now. So it's like you've gone from 150 or 200 to 150 kilometers per hour. But what we want is for you to do a U-turn, come back towards Ikoyi, but it's still going towards Ikeja, if you get what I mean. That's literally what's happening with inflation. That's what we're seeing in those numbers. So it's actually reflecting what's happening, but it's not yet where we need it to be in terms of prices. However, for us as a nation, yes, we are listening from Lagos, but us as a nation, we've been battered with that whole, every time you come, you are not sure. So you're not even sure if I should overbuy because you can't guarantee how much it will be tomorrow. But I think we are calming down, and I go to the market. So I know that it's calming down where, okay, I don't need to, let me just buy everything that I see. We don't know what it will be tomorrow. So that in itself is good news.
I like the fact that you mentioned the market. So let's talk about the food prices because that's one of the things that really affects the common man. Food inflation is still rising. Why?
So food inflation, right? It's driven by production, like how much are we producing, how much food is getting to the market. That's so if it is a lot of food, then you would see there was a time when tomato was in the market because it was so expensive, and then after a while it just came down. What happened? Because we produced enough, and then we got it to the market. When I say got it to the market, I mean you can produce, the farmers can have a good harvest, but if there's insecurity on the roads to get to Lagos, for example, you would find that not as many farmers would get their produce to the market. Those that do will now hike up their prices, right? So these are the things that actually impact food prices, because we have a security issue, right? And then we also have infrastructure issues. So for example, even if the roads are not good, and let's say you produced a lot of tomatoes in Benue State, for example, the fact is that you should have fridges to preserve them, or you should have a factory where you turn them to puree, such that fresh tomatoes might be extremely expensive, but the purees are there. And those purees will take, so one truck will carry probably like 50, or let me say 1 million cans of those purees, but cannot carry that same amount of tomatoes, if you understand what I mean. So those are the things that feed into the food situation. A lot of it is driven by logistics. So the first one is there enough production? Is there flooding, blah, 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 that impacts? Is there farmers being chased away from their farms and things like that? But once that is sorted out, the next thing is actually getting it to the market so that there's now enough supply for prices not to go up. And that's where we have issues.
I have a two-in-one question. One is, what exactly can be done, maybe by communities, by individuals, by government, to ensure that these problems are addressed, or these challenges are addressed? And the second part is the logistics you mentioned. I think I said this morning on my way here, I saw that the prices from 860 to 865 in some places to 890. But for some, it's not exactly reflecting the cost yet. I mean, the prices, fares are still what they are. So what is the implication on some dropping, but Nigerians not feeling it yet? So let's go back to the first one.
So the first one is what do we do about it getting to the market? I think the first thing is security, which is actually a government thing. The truth about it is that it's about making money. Once the environment is good and it is clear that if I invest in a factory in Benue State, for example, to convert orange into orange juice, I will not lose, even if I lose my money, to be to business operations, not like someone will come and take over my factory, those kind of things, right? And that can only, to a very sustainable level, be done by the government, right? So that one is right smack on both the federal and the state government to fix. And ideally, you would say security is federal government, right? We don't have local or state infrastructure for security right now. So from that, it's government, like right smack on government's lap. But then for individuals also, will also be good for us to become creative. And we're seeing a lot of that happening, where people are not just selling the raw thing, the raw products from the ground. They're actually, turning it into something else and increasing the value chain of these products. And I mean, as Nigerians, despite all that is happening, I think we are trying on that ground. So the fundamental solution to this sits right smack with the government. Please remind me of your second question.
About logistics, even though we seem to be having a drop in the fuel price, but something is still up.
Yeah, so I mean, logistics. So there are two sides to it. There's the fact that if in fact, I think logistics is not even about fuel price, because what would actually happen is that they would pass on that cost when they are pricing the the trip, if you get what I mean.
The entire thing,
yes, they would price in that cost into the trip. But what I think really affects logistics to a very large extent is roadblocks on the road, is the roads. It's actually the roads. It's the fact that we use trucks to get and put them on the roads and bring them from the north down to the south to eat. So everything that goes on, from insecurity, where they say that they're shooting in front, so you have to park your car and wait, park your truck and wait. Those things, if it's tomatoes, they will go bad before they get to Lagos. So what happens is that half of the tomatoes are bad. It's only that half that they will sell, and that sale must cover the cost of the full truck. So think about it, right? So I think logistics in itself is not the cost will be passed on if oil prices go up and down, but the actual delivery and supply, and there are some things that we are carrying in regular trucks that should be in cooling vans. Those are the kind of things that are still a gap. Why? Because the cooling van will preserve it, but the truck will just, whatever we see at the end, let's take it. That's literally, those are the issues around logistics.
Okay, just a final question on that. If you had a magic wand and you could fix something as touching it, what would it be? I'm talking about the logistics. Would it be functioning rail system, or tell me?
I think it would be a rail system. it'll be a real system. I will just blink and real system, real line straight connecting the whole country would appear like overnight. Yes.
All right, so let's talk about the inflation varying across different states. For instance, Yobe saw a big drop, but Borno recorded a sharp increase. What determines are we still going back to the insecurity, the accessibility, the logistics?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So
Uh-oh.
Borno has a lot of security issues. Borno is like, Borno. So if you can't safely transport stuff, if you can't, it's a security thing to a very large extent. Because we have a couple of states that produce food. So when those states have issues, right, it speaks to everybody. But when your own is now more than everybody, we now have to look at you as a state and say, what is the problem? And it's usually a logistics problem where food can't get to people, right? And that's what we're seeing.
All right, then let's talk about the stock markets reacting positively to this. I mean, it's good news for them for lower inflation now. Banks, industrial goods, consumer companies are doing well. So again, we want to know the implication of this for the pockets of the common man. I mean, should we think of increased salaries, prices, and all that?
So I think it's like inflation will be a leading indicator. What do I mean by that? I mean that eventually you would find that as companies continue to do well, companies do well in terms of profits, it will show in their stock prices. And in that same profit, it gives them capacity to say, okay, we're not downsizing anymore. First of all, at least that stability, that's the first step, which if you already have a job, it doesn't feel like a plus for you. But if your job was threatened because they were downsizing, then you will be happy. Now, when you now move on to when can they actually start creating new jobs is when they've seen sustainability in their profits over time. They can now say, let's expand to capture more of the markets. And that's what would eventually come if this inflation direction stays for a while. And I think that's what the central bank is also looking at in saying, will I cut interest rates and stuff? So if it keeps going this direction, then everybody will be happy.
Hopefully everybody's happy. We want to be happy. I'll take some messages and you can join us on WhatsApp 0911-999-0981. Again, 0911-999-0981. Taya from Aja says, inflation is high despite government efforts to address it. Minimum wage and infrastructure is still low and the cost of living has turned people into something else. 10, 20, 50 naira have given way to their elder brother of 200, 500 and 100 naira. It's hard. It's hard though. Rail system and storage facilities with affordable power. I guess that's touching the magic wand for Nigeria's issue. I'm talking about 10, 20, 15 naira. I can't remember the last time I saw them. I mean, I don't even know what we can get with them these days.
It's quite sad.
I'll take that of Gilbert Musa from Festac saying that food inflation will keep skyrocketing or going up because farmers cannot access their farmland from 2015, particularly in the North Central, because of heightened insecurity. And it just sounds really gloomy because what are we supposed to do over here? Are we all supposed to have a garden behind our house or I don't know.
I literally had this conversation with my husband yesterday and he said he wants to have a garden. I laughed and I laughed tired. I said, how many things you want to put on that garden that will feed you for how long?
I mean, you can't have yam.
You can have yam. We had that conversation, but the question is how many tubers of yam? So if you get 10 tubers, yeah, so what happens for the rest of the year, right? So at some point we have to think on a collective, which is engage the government, push them to do what they need to do, right? It's not that difficult. We just need to have the government push through and finish it up.
All the best to us Nigerians.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this is a part where we have to end the show for today. We'll be back again on Business Express from 6:30. Thank you for your time, Ola. It's been good having you. Your social media handle? Okay,
at OLER Oladele. On all social media handles, Oler Oladele. So it's Ola is spelled OLER and Oladele on all social media handles.
Thank you. That's where you can find and to continue the conversation on inflation and other things relating to finance. All right, we're done for this morning. We'll continue on Smooth Breakfast right here on Smooth 98.1.
To you by InterSwitch. Action solution you can depend on. With critical focus on the Nigerian economy, we see the bigger picture. Business Express up through 98.1.